Hi everybody. Yo, it's been so long. It's been so long. You guys want to know what's so funny? I just charged my camera today. Today was like the first time I charged my camera since summer 2020, which was probably the last time I posted a video. And the last time I posted a video was before I got into nursing school, and this is the first video I posted since I've officially finished nursing school, and I'm officially a licensed registered nurse in the state of New Jersey. So happy, oh my god. But yeah, so as you can see from the title of the video, it's about passing the NCLEX. You know, it was a humbling experience for me. I did fail it the first time I took it, and I passed the second time in 75 questions. And I just honestly feel like my duty with this video, or like my duty, is to really just like give y'all the knowledge and like everything I wish I knew coming into the exam, and just, you know, I want to give you guys all the tea, all the tips, all the motivation that I feel like, as though if you're a repeat test taker or if you're a first time test taker, I honestly feel like these tips will work for anybody. And I just really want to give you guys everything that I acquired from such a humbling experience. So without further ado, let's just get started. So I really don't want to make this video too long. I really want to just tell you guys my experience and all the tips and tricks needed. I don't want to have too much fluff, because I can keep talking. Honestly, I can talk for days, but I don't want to do that to y'all right now. But okay, so I graduated October 2021. October 2021 is when I graduated with my BSN, and I sat for my first exam December 9th. And honestly, to tell you guys the truth, I honestly do not feel like I was very prepared. I wasn't preparing the correct way. Not to say I wasn't studying enough. I can put a lot of hours into doing something, but if you're doing it the wrong way, you're not doing it the right way, and you're not going to get nothing out of it. So I think my issue was, I did get UWORLD, and I'm going to tell y'all how I feel about UWORLD. I think UWORLD is an amazing asset. However, I know a lot of people that failed the NCLEX while using UWORLD, and I think it's because they were using UWORLD the wrong way. The first time around, I was using UWORLD the wrong way. I was so focused on the fact that everyone was like, oh my god, UWORLD, buy UWORLD. You buy UWORLD, you're passing the NCLEX. I was so fixated on that idea that if I just bought UWORLD, like I got it like that. However, you need to use UWORLD the right way. Going into it the first time, I was so focused on answering the full 2,600 questions, because UWORLD comes with 2,600 questions, and not really focusing on the rationales as much as I should. Even though I typed out the rationales, I don't think that I was fully grasping the information, and I wasn't fully absorbing the information the way I should have been absorbing the information. So that was my problem using UWORLD. And as the exam approached, I wasn't really feeling nervous, and I felt like because of the fact I wasn't feeling nervous, it's probably had a lot to do with the fact that I was not taking it that seriously as I really should have. So UWORLD is great, but you need to use UWORLD the right way. And when I go on to how I prepared for my second time taking the exam, I'll get into more detail on that. But using UWORLD the wrong way was probably the reason why I did not do good on my first exam, and why I failed in 145 questions. So the day of the exam comes, I come in, I walk in, they do the little TSA pre-check, whatever the case may be, and I felt good. I did not feel nervous at all. But once I stepped into that exam room, I kid you not, once I stepped into that exam room, my heart dropped. And like, once I stepped in, I was just like, it's a dub. Like, I'm finna fail this shit. Like, I'm finna fail. Like, it is what it is. I'm gonna wait my 45 days and reschedule it straight like that. And you know, your mind is a very strong asset. And I tell this to everybody, like, your mindset does everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you come in think you're going to fail, that played a huge part as to probably why I did so bad as I did, because I came in with that negative ass mindset. Like, maybe I would have failed regardless, but going into the exam thinking you're going to fail is just not a good thing. It's not a good thing. So, you know, I was answering the questions, going through the questions. I reached 75 questions. I keep going. I reached 145. And to be honest with you, because I had that negative ass mindset coming in, once I got the first question, just like, I feel like some of the questions looking back were not that hard, but I already had in my head this negative ass like mindset, and I think that really just jeopardized me. So when the exam was over, 145 questions, I drove back home. I took it in Philly. I drove back to Jersey, and like I said, I honestly did not feel like I really prepared enough. And coming into it, I just knew that, listen, I can't blame nobody but myself. And if you want different results, you need to do shit differently. I can't be moving like I moved the last time and expect to get the different results. So that was the first thing I realized once I got my fail report. So going into it the second time around, once I got my CPR report, which is basically the report saying why you passed, or basically saying that you failed, the report that says that you failed, they mail it to your house, and it also says like the parts that you need to work on. So every single section said near the passing standard, near the passing standard. And according to like, you know, the National Council of like Nursing or whatever, NCSBN, according to them, if you stop at 75 questions, you either failed horribly or you passed with flying colors. If you fail at 145, that basically means that you were very close to the passing standard. So the way the NCLEX works is you start, this is a straight line, below the passing standard, above the passing standard. This is a straight line. So once you, with the first question, you're on that straight line. And then as you answer questions right, you go up. As you answer questions wrong, you go down, you go up, and you go down, and you go up, and you go down. And then once you reach 75 questions, which is indeed the minimum amount of questions, once you reach 75 questions, wherever you're at, I guess if you're above the passing standard, they're like, all right, we don't gotta ask this girl no more questions. Like, she got it, she good, whatever. If you're like below the passing standard, they're probably like, oh wow, like it's a dub. Like, she just needs to go back home and study a little bit more. But there's no point of asking more questions if she's already below the passing standard. So the way the NCLEX works is like, as you get questions wrong, they start asking you easier questions. And as you get more easier questions right, they start asking you harder questions. They want you to get to the harder questions, which is why a lot of people say they get a lot of SATA questions, a lot of select all that apply questions when they think they pass, because those are considered harder questions. I honestly can't remember how many SATA questions I had the first time I took it at 145 questions, but apparently the harder the questions get, that means you're doing good. You don't need to get everything you right, but you need to get everything that everyone else knows right. So get all the easy shit right so you can get to the hard shit. And once you get to the hard shit, you're good. Try to maintain staying on that hard shit, but just know as you get more hard shit wrong, they're gonna knock you down a little bit. But just keep getting the easy shit right and you should be good. You can stop at any point, but just know that whenever the computer stops you, that basically means that like they got all the information that they needed to get in order to determine whether you pass or you fail. So you can pass. So after, like, you know, being sad about the fact that I failed, I just knew that time will be the last time. You need to come in with that mindset that, listen, like, it was sad, but listen, I'm not taking this exam again. Like, I'm taking it the second time and I'm going to pass the second time. So not only just that, I really just started praying more. Like, this time around, I decided to really focus on God more throughout this process. But listen, you need to meet God halfway. Do your part and he'll take care of the rest. Coming into the exam the first time around, I didn't meet God halfway. So I knew, it's crazy because right before my exam, I was praying in the bathroom and I was just like, listen, God, I've been doing everything I need to do. And I had to stop mid-sentence. I'm just like, okay, I'm lying in prayer, and that's like a sin. I should not be lying up in this prayer telling God that I did everything when he know I'm lying. So I'm just like, okay, going into the second time around, I need to meet God halfway, 75% of the way. And I know that once I meet God halfway and I know that I've done my part and I'm praying to God, he's going to give me that power. He's going to give me that reassurance, that strength. But I need to, you know, he'll take care of the rest as long as I know I do my part. So I was praying constantly. Not even I know for a fact, like 100%, that's one of the main reasons why I passed this exam, was leaning on God, but also doing my part to the fullest. Doing my part to the fullest, okay? Doing my part to the fullest, and then depending on God and relying on God, and he just gave me that strength to keep persevering. And yes, that's number one. That's number one, is God. And then number two is figure out how you learn, because however you was trying to learn that information the first time around clearly didn't work, and that was me. I was using UWORLD, like I said, but I was using UWORLD the wrong way. I was just typing up the rationales, and I know for me that, like, that doesn't work for me. Like, I'm a very, like, I wouldn't say I'm a slow learner, but I would say I'm the type of learner where I need to physically write down things, and I have to, like, constantly keep rereading them in order for it to you know, just be part of like my general knowledge. Like I need to constantly like reread my notes in order for me to understand it. I know a lot of people in school constantly type their notes. That don't work for me. I made physical notes. I would write down all the rationales. I'll make hella note cards. I made so many note cards going through it. And just know that at the end of the day, it's you versus you. When it comes to learning, it's you versus you, not you versus anybody else. Because Sally Mae, or I said Sally Mae, Sally or Jackie or whoever the hell, they might have photographic memory, or they might just learn by typing shit. Listen, I already had my first degree, so I know how I learned. I was able, you know, I was smart enough to get that degree. So I'm just like, okay, clearly I know how I learned. And I know I learned by writing things down, through constantly reviewing that, you know, just because this person has photographic memory and they can look at their notes once and remember it for life, that doesn't make you less smarter than them. You just have to go about how you study differently. And once you do that, then you have it in the bag. But just like check yourself and know how you learn, and don't try to rush learning. Like, you know, they give you 45 days until you can reschedule your next exam. And if I were, honestly, another tip of advice is just like, you don't gotta wait 45, like you don't gotta be like, okay, on the 45th day I'm trying to take my exam. Like, no, if I were you, I would honestly take all the time you need to take all the time you need to take, and then, you know, take it when you feel ready. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to take it and, you know, not feel like you're ready for it, and then God forbid you fail again, and then you gotta wait 45 days. Like, it's not worth it. Take it when you're ready, so you can only take it once and you're done. So another tool I used was called Archer. Archer is amazing. Archer is very similar to UWorld, but UWorld is type expensive. Archer, on the other hand, is like $29, and they have a quiz bank just as big as UWorld. It's about like 2,600 questions. And the great thing about Archer is that I would say that the Archer questions were very black or white. UWorld questions be mad freaking long. Archer's questions were probably like a sentence or two, or like, it was like short ass questions, which is honestly, the Nclex was very straight to the point and very vague. Archer's questions were very straight to the point and very vague. So I think Archer definitely mirrored the Nclex. However, Archer's rationales weren't as good as UWorld's, but I would definitely say Archer definitely freaking helped me. Archer also has CAT exams that you can use, which are basically like the computer adaptive testing exams that are similar to the Nclex, where it stops you when it feels as though you're either competent enough or you're not competent enough. So definitely practice those CAT exams. They also have readiness assessments that you can take, which are 75 questions each, and like when you finish the 75 questions, it basically tells you like if you feel like, if they feel as though you're like above the passing standard or below the passing standard. So I would definitely say to invest in Archer. Archer was only $29. Like, you have nothing to freaking. So as far as books, I'm not a big book person per se, but there are two books that I feel as though really helped me. The first one that helped me the most, I would say, is called the Nclex-Rn Plan by Michael Reed. It's on Amazon. It's about like 20-30 bucks. Honestly, get this book, because when I tell you this book is the GOAT, this book is amazing, because the book basically tells you everything you really need to know, but in like a shortened, condensed format. Like, it tells you what's needed to know. It's not like Saunders. Like Saunders, I thought Saunders was condensed, but after I was reading Saunders for a certain point, I'm just like, this is too much. Like, they're doing too much at that point. So I was like, okay, I really like this Nclex-Rn Plan, because like it tells you everything you need to know. It tells you every important thing you need to know. But the way that Michael, who is the author, writes the book, he writes it in such a way that's very simplified, but like he talks to you how I'm talking to you, you know what I'm saying? Like, he talks to you and he uses like words that you will understand. Like, he basically explains everything in like a nice simplified manner while still giving you like the important information. So definitely get that book. The book also has like a hella pharmacology shit that you should know in the back, and honestly every pharmacology thing that he listed was also on my Nclex. Like, secondly, the second book I want to talk about is the Lacharity book. It's like a delegation prioritization. A lot of the things on the Nclex are prioritization. Those things are very important, very big on the Nclex. So sometimes you can't use ABCs for things, you know, sometimes you can't be using ABCs. So that book, you know, definitely gives you questions that are not airway, breathing, circulation. No, like, it gives you questions that, you know, you can't use ABCs for. And if you use ABCs for every question, let me tell you, you're not going to get those questions right. You can use it for some questions, but you can't use it for everything. You know what I'm saying? So definitely get that book. The Lacharity book, there's PDFs online for that, so you can probably get that for free. But as far as the cram plan book, you should probably get a tangible copy of the book, because I just like the tangible copy. I don't know if there's electronic ones available, but I got the tangible copy and that definitely worked for me. So definitely do that. I read through the cram plan. It's only like about 220 pages, but I read through that book like at least like 3 or 4 times before I took my Nclex for the second time. So I definitely recommend that book. I would say the last like 3 or 4 weeks before my exam, I was able to share a Nurse Achieve account with like 3 or 4 people. And so the way I used Nurse Achieve was because they had CAT exams, and CAT exams are basically like mock NCLEX exams. I would say maybe like between 5 to 6 CAT exams before I took my NCLEX, and I was getting really good grades because I used it towards the end of my studying cycle. I would say the last 3 weeks before my exam, I was taking CAT exams. The last 3 days before my exam, I was taking a CAT exam every single day. And I was getting, the CAT exam will always stop me at 75 questions, which is the minimum. It will always give me like a pass or a solid pass. I probably got 2 solid passes, and then the rest of them were all passes. So basically, when you take the CAT exams and Nurse Achieve, you want to aim for a pass. You can get a pass at anywhere, but if they stop you at 75, that means like you did the minimum amount of questions and you freaking passed. Versus if they can stop you at 145, or you can answer the full 145 and still get a pass. But I was getting pass on Nurse Achieves, and it was super like, I guess you can say, it kind of like gave me mad motivation, because the day before my exam, I took my last Nurse Achieve CAT exam, and I stopped at 75 questions and I got a solid pass, and I was just like, yes! Like, I was so happy. I was so freaking happy. Like, that gave me like a boost of motivation. So I definitely recommend CAT exams and Nurse Achieve. Another resource I definitely recommend is Mark Klimek. Mark Klimek is amazing. I love the way he explains things. Honestly, yo, like, if I had professors that moved like him, nursing school would have been a whole nother story. Like, I think he's absolutely amazing. You need to watch all his lectures. He has 12 lectures. Watch them all. I would watch them on like 1.5 speed, because he's very chatty. So I would like do it at like 1.5 speed, because, you know, like, let's keep going. Like, there's mad lectures. I'm trying to like listen to as many lectures as I can a day. So I would like kind of speed up his lectures. But he's amazing. He teaches you concepts versus just teaching you a list to memorize. Because he even said it. He was just like, there'll be certain times in nursing school I'll be memorizing the 15 signs and symptoms of a disease, but then the professor will put symptoms 16 through 25, and I didn't even memorize those. It teaches you everything in such a way that like you don't really have to memorize things. You just have to know the concepts. And once you know the concepts, you can answer any question that they ask regarding that disease. So listen to him on the Stairmaster. I'll be on the Stairmaster, listen to my Mark Klimek while I was also reading my notes. Like, he's amazing. I love him. I want to give him a hug. I want to get his autograph. Like, he's like a legend. Legend. Like, he's freaking amazing. Like, I want to like hug him and give him a kiss on like the cheek or something. But yeah, I love him. So after the 45 days, I ended up getting my ATT code, and when I tell you, the month of February, I rescheduled my exam 3 times. I scheduled it at first February 12th, and I scheduled it February 21st, and I just kept rescheduling my exam. And I think that was honestly because the first time failing my exam was just so morally like humbling, that I'm just like, oh my god, like I was just getting terrible anxiety. So I just kept praying, as though, like, you know, take your time. You do not have to take that exam on the 45th day. My mind process was just like, listen, like, girl, 45 days is a long freaking time. Secondly, I honestly, another reason why I rescheduled it to March, early March, I took it March 11th. Another reason why I scheduled it for that day was because of the fact that I actually got hired for a nursing position at the end of February for a job that started in April. So my mindset was like, damn, I haven't taken my NCLEX yet, but they said that they'll give you until like April like 8th to like take it and like get licensed. Like, they'll give you till April 8th to like get licensed and whatnot. So I was just telling myself like, okay, well, I'm not going to start my job until April, so this kind of gives me like more room to like really study and make sure that like I'm good. It was very like pressure-ish, you know what I'm saying, because of the fact that like, yo, like I got this job, like what if I take it and I fail? Like, now, like, what am I going to tell them? But it also told me that like, listen, girl, you can definitely take your time. Give yourself extra couple weeks to study, so that when you take that exam, you know in your heart of hearts that like you've done everything you can do. You can pray to God confidently and be like, listen, God, I've done everything. I met you halfway. I'm gonna meet you 90% of the way. I will meet you anywhere you need me to meet you. Come into the exam thinking that, and then you should be good. But I didn't want to come to the exam not feeling confident and then having to wait all that while. So I definitely gave myself some grace and some time to really just make sure I passed that exam. Like, don't rush yourself. Don't rush yourself. Listen to your mind, listen to your heart, listen to God, and you should be all right. So I ended up scheduling my exam, and I'm gonna insert some clips on like the day before my exam or the day of my exam, and drive into my exam and whatnot. I'm gonna insert some clips right now for y'all to see.
Hello,
Hello everybody. So right now I'm actually in the car. I'm about to start driving to my exam. I'm super nervous. It's about like 11:25 right now. My exam is at 1. I'm about to cut up some fruit. I'm probably going to just eat that while I'm driving. I typically don't eat breakfast like that, but I just don't want, depending on how long the exam takes, I don't want to be in a position where I feel like I'm bottoming out, or that like I'm like super tired or drained mentally. So yeah, we'll see. So yeah, as you can see, I was very nervous. My exam was at 1 p.m, which I like because I'm not a morning person. So I was like, okay, let me like at least have my exam like, you know, somewhat like midday, so I'm not like super groggy and grumpy and whatnot. So I have officially made it to the parking lot of where I'm taking my exam. I did take maybe like about 10 minutes to pray just now. I just finished doing that. This is the building. And yeah, I guess I'll check back in with y'all once it's all said and done. Wish me luck. Try to like munch on something, but when I'm nervous, like I have no appetite. My stomach is just like doing like numbers, you know? So exam was at 1 p.m. and it is what it is. Yeah. Exam was at 1 p.m. Coming into it, was I anxious? Hell yes, I was freaking anxious. I was more anxious the second time, but for, you know, obvious reasons. I was anxious because, one, you know, I don't want to go through what I went through the first time taking that exam. Like, who wants to go through that again? I don't want to go through that again. So I was anxious because of that, but I was also anxious, you know, you need to check your anxiety. Like, you know, you got to check your anxiety. Are you anxious because you know you ain't really study like that? Because that was me the first time around. I knew I didn't study like that, so I was anxious because of that. Or are you anxious because, oh, this is an exam, like I don't want to, you know, I don't want to mess up again. So I was more so anxious because, you know, I was anxious because I didn't want to experience that first experience again. But I didn't feel like I was anxious because of the fact that I didn't study enough. I know I studied enough. So like I was saying before, like you really honestly want to meet God halfway. So when I prayed before I took my exam, I went to the bathroom. And I did my prayer. Before I stepped foot into the exam building, I prayed in my car. I was praying like I was praying crazy throughout the whole process, but I know I prayed right before I got into the building. I prayed when I used the bathroom before I got into the exam room. And when I got into the exam room, when I sat on that chair in front of my computer, I kid you not, I prayed and I was doing some deep breathing exercises. I was doing pursed lip, you know, the pursed lip breathings for COPD people. I was doing pursed lip breathing exercises, and when I tell you, I was just before I even answered the first question, I was literally sitting in my chair for like 5 to 7 minutes, just like deep breathing, praying, like calming my nerves, because you don't want to get that anxiety. You don't want that anxiety to get the best of you. The last thing I'm gonna do is have this anxiety get the best of me. Do you feel me? I done put in so much work. I've been studying my little booty off, that all I know is it's me against this computer. It's me and God against this computer at this point. Like there's no anxiety, no nothing. So when I did that, pursed lip breathing, I started answering my questions, and you know, I felt more relaxed in my heart. You know what I'm saying? I felt more relaxed in my heart. So basically, long story short, answer my questions. Some of the questions, all of the questions rather, were very vague. Studied a lot of shit that was not on the exam, but hey, that's such is life. However, I did get 35 SATA questions. I had 35. Those were the questions I was nervous about, because you get one of those things wrong, it's over for you. So my exam cut off at 75 questions. When my exam cut off on 75 questions, I was just like, I didn't know how to feel, because it's just like, okay, I know for a fact that I did not fail harder than I did the first time around, and I failed at 145 questions the first time around. And if you fail at 75 questions, that means you was really bombing shit, like you was doing bad. So I'm just like, okay, the exam cut off at 75 questions. I don't feel like I did as bad as I did the first time around, so I'm just like, okay, does that mean like I did good? Like, am I like good? Like I was so confused. But I was the first person that left the exam room. How long did that take me? I left at like 3:30. My exam was at 1. So I probably like 2.5 hours. I honestly feel like I was taking my time. I honestly feel like I was going slow, but I was the first one to leave my exam room with all the people that I had started with. So I was like, okay, like damn, either they're still past 75 or they haven't gotten to 75 yet, but that's none of my business. But when the exam stopped at 75 questions, I held my hand up high. You know, they have those questions that they want you to answer at the end. I told sis, like, do I gotta answer these? And she was like, no, you don't even gotta answer them. I'm like, all right, cool, copy. Like, I'm not answering these questions. I'm gonna go home. I need to like scream in my car, you know? I just left my exam, and to be honest with you, I don't feel super confident about it. It's shut off at 75 questions, so that either means I failed terribly or I passed with like flying colors. Okay, I had like maybe like 30 to 35 select all that apply questions. I didn't have any drag and drops or anything like that. Yeah, I don't even think I had any math, to be honest with you. I don't know how I feel. I really don't know how I feel. I just leave my exam, and the job that I got hired for, the nursing position I got hired for, I received an email from them basically saying, oh, we're so happy to meet you, whatever, on April 11th. And I'm just like, oh my God, you guys are sending me this right after I left my Nclex, and I feel like I fucking failed. Like, oh my God, like perfect fucking timing, right? It's just like, yo, should I do this prairie view trick? I told myself I wasn't going to do it because I was going to Florida or Miami, that weekend, and I'm just like, I don't want to see the results and then see that I failed and my vacation is ruined. Like, I'm not going to be in the mood. But I was kind of like, fuck it, like, let me just go check it, you know? So I honestly check it. I did a little prairie view check, and it said that, oh, our records indicate that, you know.
So I just did a PEARSON view trick, and this is the pop-up I'm getting, and apparently that's good. Apparently that's good. I took it like 2 hours ago, or I finished and submitted it like 2 hours ago. I'm just hoping that that's like for real, like good.
See, I didn't do the prayer review check the first time around for obvious reasons, because I know I failed. But this time around I was feeling a little bit more confident, so I did a trick, and it just so happens that I got the good pop-up, and I was so freaking happy, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But I had to wait until Sunday to get the results, and I found out I passed. And your girl was licensed. I was so happy. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. When I found out I passed, I honestly couldn't believe it. Because I know it's work, even though I know I worked so hard for it, it was just so surreal. Because, like, you know, when you work so hard for something and you finally get it, like, it's still hard to believe. It was very hard to believe. It was very hard to believe. Like, I honestly busted my ass studying for that shit, and it honestly worked in my favor. And I was honestly, first and foremost, I just want to tell everybody that, like, your mind is the strongest part of your body. You feel me? Like, if you tell your mind to do something, it'll do it. Like, if you tell yourself, if your mind is telling you, like, listen, like, you got this, you can do this, when I tell you that, just does volumes. You know, coming into the exam and thinking you're going to fail, that's just such a negative thing that your body almost just like listens to your mind, and your mind is telling your body. Like an exam, I kept telling myself, listen girl, you done studied like to the T. Like, there's nothing that this exam can ask you that you don't know. So if you feel like you don't know something, keep reading it. Read it a second time, read it a third time, process of elimination. But never tell yourself that you don't know something. Tell yourself, let me read it again, and do that. So the whole time I was taking the exam, it's just like, I know I've seen this before, and even if I haven't seen it before, I know I can put two to two together. Like, never tell yourself throughout the exam that you don't know something, because then you don't know that one. You tell yourself you don't know that one. You get another hard one. You feel yourself you don't know that one. Honestly, first and foremost, going to the exam, do not go into it thinking that if you answer more than 75 questions, or if you answer the full 145 questions, that means you failed. Don't ever come into it thinking like that, because that is a fib. Think of it like this. If you're still in the game, you're clearly doing good. If you're still getting questions, you're doing good, because once you pass 75 is the minimum. So once you pass 75, okay, they're giving you more questions. So think of it as a good thing. Think of it as like, okay, I'm still in the game. Because listen, if that computer thought that you failed, they would have stopped you. They would have stopped you right then and there. If they feel like, okay, it's a dub, we finna stop her, they would have stopped you. But if they keep giving you more questions, think of it as like, okay, I'm still in the game. So approach every question with the same amount of like mental concentration and determination that you did when you answered the first question. Like, answer every question with like confidence. Because honestly, it's a good thing. They keep giving you more questions, that means you're in the game. If you answer the full 145 questions and you fail per se, that means you were very close. So don't start losing your morale if you go past 75 questions, because I know a lot of people do that. And don't do that, because if they keep giving you more questions, they got hope in you. Because best believe if they didn't, they would have stopped you. at 75 if they thought that you failed terribly. So like positive self-talk is very important. Keep uplifting yourself. At the end of the day, I think obviously being ready with content is important, but I think the most important part is to be mentally ready. You need to be mentally in a good place, which is why I feel like the first couple of times around I kept rescheduling my exam, because I didn't feel like I was mentally ready. And until you're mentally ready, and when I say mentally ready, as in like you feel mentally that you did everything, you just kind of reach a point where you're just like, I'm ready to take it because I know I did everything I needed to do. I feel like I got this. Like I'm building confidence, whatever the case may be. You're still going to be nervous. I know a couple days to my exam, I'm just like, oh my God, anxiety, crazy, barely eating, stressed, depressed. But it's just like, you need to just talk to yourself and be like, listen, you've done everything you needed to do. You reach a point where you know that you've done everything you can do. And once you reach that point, like, just keep telling yourself that you got this. And you know, it's one thing to have the content, but you need to also uplift yourself like mentally, and you should be straight. But you need to talk to yourself, you know, you need to have some grace, you know, have some grace with yourself. Like you can't keep, you know, belittling yourself. You know, sometimes when you're studying and you feel overwhelmed, take a break. It's okay. Like you're made for this. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And keep pushing, honestly. And if you guys have any questions, I really try to make this video short, but it's not that short. But if you guys have any questions, honestly, just message me, or I'm gonna insert my Instagram and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch up with you guys.
I ain't never been in love, but tryna grab it up, you got a soft butt. Hit the hole in one, I'm playing pop pop. Tryna put some sugar in your puff puff. Putting something hard inside your soft spot.